We'll start with attendance here. When I call your name, say here so that we can make sure we got everybody. Steve.
Here.
Jeff.
Here.
Adam.
Here.
Brett.
Here.
Tom.
Here.
Matt.
Here.
Michelle. I don't know if she's
on, but she might be having trouble with her mute.
She's still got mute on.
Michelle. I know she's here, but
Here.
okay. All right. Announcements. Rodney, you had some announcements.
I do. So I just wanted to start by telling you that I had a meeting set up to meet with the mayor to talk about a joint city council and planning and zoning commission meeting, talk about priorities and kind of the vision of where we were planning to go. And unfortunately, I got COVID and I was out for several weeks, pretty sick during that time. And so
You were?
it got canceled. Yeah.
We didn't miss you.
Oh.
Thanks a lot. So anyway, I'm rescheduling that meeting to meet with the mayor and get that started so that we can meet as you directed me to do. So that should be coming pretty soon here. And I also wanted to just touch briefly on an action that's being done by Star, City of Star. They are on the 20th, they are considering adoption of their new comprehensive plan, which extends their planning area for future development into our impact area. And we've been fighting this for a couple of years now, just trying to reconfirm, hey, we have an impact area that's established through the county. And we've tried to meet with them, tried to work out what we can do. Very little success. And so we've sent several letters to the mayors over there, the last two mayors. And so we're still working on that, but I just wanted you to be aware of that. That's something that we plan for. We look at that land use, we look at future development in that area, utilities, and so we'll continue to work on that. If they do include that in their comprehensive plan, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to immediately start developing it. It's basically whoever gets there first with utilities, and so we're trying to address that. But again, just wanted you to be aware of that. Last week, 3 of our staff, Wednesday through Friday, attended the Idaho's American Planning Association conference. And we learned a lot of things, really good lessons. And I just kept thinking about this commission and things that we need to help you be familiar with, and legal issues that come up in the state and in the nation about planning. And so we are meeting as staff over the next couple of weeks to just kind of debrief over all of those things that we learned. And then I'd like to, if you're okay with this, I'd like to just do a brief kind of update to you about some of the things we've learned over the next few times that we meet. So
Sounds great.
I see a lot of head nods, so that sounds good. And that's all I had, Peggy.
Okay, nothing on council you were gonna do?
Yeah, I can jump into that if you want me to.
Sure.
Okay. So it doesn't look like we have. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Councilman Haverfield said he's not going to be here tonight.
Right.
So let me just report on that. There was the comprehensive plan amendment from medium density residential to community mixed use, the annexation and zoning to BC, and the CUP for the public storage facility for the property at Locust and Southside. This body recommended approval of that development. It also had a restaurant as part of the development. And the council did approve that. They did understand the same, all the things that you had recommended on, and and found as part of that project, they found the same things, that it made sense in this situation, but not in
And
others.
yet they get paid so much more than we do.
Good.
Number 2 was a zoning map amendment from unzoned to BC at Broadmoor and Northside Boulevard for Arts Charter School, as recommended by P&Z Commission, and it was approved as well. And then last of all, I just wanted to touch base on something that came up. There was a sign near Karcher Overpass that it's a billboard near the freeway, and the applicant or the person appealing a decision by the forestry board. I don't know if that's the technical term for them, but they appealed the decision because they wanted those trees to be cut down because they were blocking the billboard sign. Their argument was that the billboard went in before the trees were put in. And so the council, which is not accurate, the Parks Department found that the billboard went in after the trees were in for the overpass. They found proof of that through pictures. They are going to go back to the council and have this discussion again. The council just basically said, come back to us, look at this, look into some details, and so they're going to be going back to the council again. But that's just something, again, that's related to planning and zoning. We have an ordinance in our code that states that billboards are limited to the number of billboards we have at that time that ordinance went in. They can be moved, they can be torn down and rebuilt, but we can't add on to the number of billboards. And in addition, we have the requirement for landscaping for new developments and things like that. So again, I just wanted you to be aware of those things that are happening at the council level. And that's all I have.
Okay. Minutes. Did you guys get a chance to look at the minutes? And if so, somebody want to make a motion so we can approve them?
Madam Chair, this is Jeff. I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Madam Chair, this is Steve, second.
Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Steve to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Michelle, you're still muted.
Michelle?
It's okay. We just move on.
Okay, it's enough that they're approved, so. Okay, business item number 1, Doug.
Boy, we're just running on all cylinders.
Okay. Excuse me. Madam Chair and Commissioners, Doug Critchfield, Principal Planner. This is a final plat for New York Landing Subdivision number 2. I don't know if Kent Brown is in the audience.
No.
He's not. Okay. This is Trilogy Idaho is the applicant, Kent Brown representing. This is an 18.67 acre development to be platted into 75 buildable lots and 6 common lots, all located in RS 8.5 zoned area. Excuse me, this is a copy of the subdivision number 2. This is the layout. And this is the preliminary plat of the subdivision, New York Landing subdivision. My apologies, that projected zoning should be RS 8.5. The 2040 comp plan land use settings, medium density residential. The density in this development is gross is 3.9, which meets the medium density residential range, density range. The land uses surrounding are RS 8.5 with Canyon Canny Ag to the south. And the history is in your staff report. Findings of fact are also listed in your staff report. The project does conform or substantially conforms within acceptable limits to the approved preliminary plat for, and again, this should be the New York Landing subdivision, and it complies with the relevant RS 8.5 zoning codes and City of Napa subdivision standards. So the requested action is recommend to approve or deny the final plat for the New York Landing subdivision number 4 with the staff recommended conditions that are again stated in your staff report and any other conditions that may be levied by the commission. And with that, I'll take questions.
Doug, that should be number 2.
I'm sorry, should be number 2.
Mhm. New York Landing, number 2.
Oh, New York Landing number 2. Yeah, boy. I think I was sleeping on this one. I apologize to all of you. Yeah, it should be New York Landing subdivision number 2. Thank you, Christy.
We just blame everything on COVID, Doug.
That's right. It's all COVID related.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? All right, guys, what do you want to do?
Well, if everybody's going to be quiet, Madam Chair, this is Steve. I'd like to recommend final plat approval for New York Landing subdivision number 2 with all conditions set by staff. And since there's no other comments,
Second,
Is that Matt?
yes.
Okay, motion by Steve, second by Matt to recommend or to approve the final plat. All those in favor, Steve,
aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Yay. All right, on to business item number 2. And that's you, Rodney, right?
It is. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure that Tom's on. I think I just approved him on. Are you on now, Tom?
Yep, just got it on.
Great. All right. Okay, Madam Chair and Commissioners, the action requested for you tonight is the approval or denial of the final plat for Feather Cove subdivision number 3. This project is located north of Cherry Lane and east of North Franklin Boulevard and is the third of 4 phases for Feather Cove subdivision to be developed. So it is located inside the city limits and is zoned RS 8.5, is bordered on the north and west sides by city zoned RS 8.5, phases 2 and 4 of the Feather Cove subdivision. And further to the north is an RS 7 zone for the Modena subdivision. To the south and the east sides, it is bordered by RS 6 zoning for Cortland Place subdivision, and this is a picture of that. I've surrounded it in blue. It's just to the south of the proposed final plat. So that's the Cortland Place subdivision, which annexed into the city with the intent to develop as Franklin Village North subdivision, including commercial, multifamily, and single-family residential, but never went through the subdivision process after annexation. But the development agreement remains on the property for the concept plan shown on the screen. The Feather Cove preliminary plat was approved by P&Z in March of 2015, and 2 phases of this subdivision have been approved and developed. Those are just to the west. This phase proposes 43 single-family residential lots and 2 common lots. It's on 12.51 acres. The findings of fact in this case are that it is located within the city limits and zoned RS 8.5. It conforms to the approved preliminary plat layout, and it conforms to the applicable subdivision and zoning standards for NAMPA. There was significant agency correspondence for this project, and all those details are outlined in the staff report. There were no other comments received by staff after we submitted the packet to you. So staff feels it is appropriate for this commission to recommend approval of the final plat for Feather Cove subdivision number 3 to City Council with the conditions as listed in the staff report and any other conditions you see fit to impose. And I can go through any of those conditions if you need me to, but they're all in your staff report. And I would stand for questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Sounds like there's no questions, Madam Chair, so I'll go ahead and make a motion that we recommend to City Council approval of the subdivision plat, final approval for Feather Cove number 3, with all conditions of staff.
Steve, second.
Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Steve to approve the final plat for Feather Cove subdivision number 3. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Yay. All right, that is approved as well. Business item number 3. You there, Christy? Here you are. Okay.
Sorry. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Christy Watkins, planner with the City of Nampa. The developer for Covey Run subdivision is requesting their first 12-month extension for the final plat for this subdivision. There is only 1 phase of the subdivision. The project is comprised of 5.56 acres proposed to be platted into 58 buildable lots for townhomes and 2 common lots, all located in an RD zone located on the southeast corner of Victory and Sugar. The expiration date was October 9th of 2020, and by your approval would be extended to October 13th of 2021. Their reasoning for this is because of all of the COVID delays that we've experienced. They've experienced those same delays, so they'd like a little bit more time. Staff recommends approval of this extension with all conditions that were required on previous approvals.
Any questions for Christy?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Steve. I make the motion that we approve the time extension to 10/23/21 for Covey Run subdivision.
10/13.
10/13/21?
Yeah, no, it's what I say.
10:23 is what you said.
Oh, sorry, 10/21.
10.
10/13.
We'll get there.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that. This is Adam.
Okay, motion by Steve, second by Adam to extend to 10/13/21. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay, that goes through too. Okay, public hearings. We're at 7:05, so we can go right into public hearing. Rodney, do we have anybody present in chambers?
A whole
We
bunch.
do.
Okay. So item number 1, Miss Christie.
Yes. Do you want to announce the applicant?
Yeah, is the applicant there?
Yes.
John Carpenter. Come on down.
Or
No,
Jen.
no prizes though, John, okay?
You can take it off.
You take them, yeah.
Actually, I'm not John Carpenter. I'm Tim Mockwell with Hayden Homes.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I am with Hayden Homes, address 1406 North Main Street, Suite 109. I'll try to be brief. I think the staff report did a great job of covering most of the information I'd wanted to make sure that I highlighted to the commissioners. There's a couple of key points that I would like to there we go. That I'd like to point out about the site itself. You can see we're located north of the 10-mile drain, 10 Mile Creek, just on the east side of Canada, north of Cherry Lane. There's an existing sanitary sewer that was installed several years ago, and there's a sanitary sewer agreement of which this property is part of with the city of Nampa that limited the number of lots available on this Asamunde, or what we are calling Lakekio subdivision property. This property was originally part of the overall Lost River annexation, zoning, and development agreement. Since that time, Lost River has been developed. They're currently building their second phase, and they've rezoned the portion fronting on Cherry Lane to GB2, I believe is the zone, and they're building townhouses currently. Next. So this property is currently zoned RS 8.5 as it was with that with the Lost River overall. We're surrounded by some RS 7 or quite a bit of RS 7 and some RS 8.5. And again, the rezone on the portion fronting on Cherry Lane. So you can see the comp plan. All of this area here is designated as the medium density residential, which has a max density or a recommended density dwelling units per acre of 4 to 9. Our subdivision, the Lakekio subdivision, is proposing 3.15 homes per acre. Regarding our request to rezone to RS 7, the property is somewhat unique in that we've got 3 different drains and canals that cross this property, along with the sizable easements that go along with those. It takes up quite a bit of the property. We also have the condition, which we're in agreement with from the staff, of locating the 10-mile pathway along the north side of the 10-mile, crossing at our bridge crossing here and on out to Canada. The purpose of our rezone request primarily was to allow for some diversity of the product type. With the RS7, you're still required to do the 8,000 square foot minimum lots. We are proposing and using the city's calculation formula for the lower 20% infill. Some of these lots, I don't know how well you can see these colors on here, not real well, but this color right here represents our 50 to 59 foot wide lots. The little bit darker brown is going to be our 60 to 69 foot wide lots. The darkest orange represents our 70 to 79 foot wide lots. And this color here should have been more orange, but it represents our 80 foot plus wide lots. So with that averaging and throwing out the 20% bottom and 20% top, we're averaging over 8,300 square foot lots. The proposed RS7 again is compatible with the surrounding properties and well within our density requirement of the medium density residential comprehensive plan. Regarding our development agreement modification, again, the purpose of the requesting a modification of 2006 is to make it specific to the Lacatio subdivision site, update the zoning to the RS7, incorporate the updated site plan, and to match the house construction design to today's standards and market demands. The housing product, next, Christy. The housing product that we're proposing in here is going to be very similar to what we're currently building in Lost River. We're building all of the homes in the phase 1 of the Lost River just south of us, and we will be building all of the homes in Lost River phase 2, as well as we are building in our 4th and final phase of Meadowcrest subdivision off of Middleton Road, a little further south. So this flexibility of lot sizes allows us to offer, some of our 2-car product while keeping it relative to today's market affordable. But it also gives us some flexibility for our larger single-story 3-car, as well as our RV garage 2-story product. Another thing that I should point out is that there's this site in particular is located next to just a tremendous employment center in the city of Nampa, in North Nampa, with Amazon, College of Idaho, Western Idaho. Thank you. What else? We've got, there's quite a bit of retail and other professional services in this area, so a lot of job opportunity. And so I think the variety in the housing type is important to be able to serve that type of employment center with in a close area to North Nampa. We're really excited about North Nampa as we've been pretty successful in Lost River, and then further south, Meadowcrest has been great. So we're looking forward to continuing that partnership with the city.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
I apologize for interrupting, but I noticed those sidewalks that are sitting 6 foot off the road. Is that a design element of the developer when they're putting in those subdivisions, or is that more of a requirement by the city?
It's more of a requirement by the city, Commissioner.
Okay.
Some cities require the detached sidewalk, so that you'll have an 8-foot wide planter strip. If you're in the city of Meridian, typically those are going to be required, and it has to be an 8-foot minimum so that a street tree can go in it. We put our street trees, unless it's a requirement, we typically do what we call an attached sidewalk, so it's right off the curb.
Right.
And then the street trees would go behind the sidewalk in the lot.
In the lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize. I didn't even catch that these pictures were all from, I believe these are all Meridian. So again, our lot size is averaging 8,300 square foot, and our minimum is 5,900. We're proposing, can you go to the next one, please, Kristen? So we're proposing 11.5 acres of total open space. Although we're not required by today's code, we are providing proposing 3 amenities, including a sand volleyball court, a half-court basketball court, and a tot lot. And we, specifically positioned these somewhat in the middle of the site for access for as many residents as possible, or easy access. We're also, like I mentioned, in agreement with the 10-foot wide 10 Mile Creek pathway, as recommended by staff. I wanted to mention specifically a letter from Linda Powers, because I know it's in your packet, and I just wanted to make sure to go on the record that, yes, we will, and I'm not sure if she's this property, I think she's this property, but we definitely will protect her irrigation water right and her runoff requirements that she's currently been using.
What property were you, I can't see what you're pointing to, so.
You might use your mouse.
I'm not sure if it's this property north of Lacatio along the frontage of Canada, or possibly the south.
Okay.
That one?
I think it is. It's going to be this north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I just wanted that on the record that, yeah, we're required to by Idaho code anyway, but we'll honor those water rights and ensure that she still has her access to both the water right and the runoff. We've also had 2 meetings with this property owner here. It's an out parcel. I think it's roughly 2 acres, 2.5 acres. There's a nice house on there. As a result of our 2 meetings with them, next slide, please, Christy. One more. What did I do? Okay, here's the house, their barn, shed. So we positioned this Stubb Street per our coordination with them in a location that gave them the access they were looking for. It also helps to be in the middle of the property for future development if that were ever an option for them. Another thing that was, I think, pretty notable is that they agreed to allow us to extend the 10-mile creek pathway across their property in an easement that we would work with them to secure. One of their conditions was that the landscaping along here be maintained by the HOA, and we're perfectly fine with that. Another condition is that we would fence around their entire boundary with a 6-foot solid vinyl fence, and we're fine with that as well. So just in conclusion, the proposed zone, DA modification, and preliminary plat are in compliance with the city's future land use map and the zoning ordinance requirements. And the subdivision is compatible. Can you go one more, please, Kristen? Is compatible and complementary of the surrounding communities and provides housing diversity to an area of the city where it's a definite need. As I mentioned, we'll be finishing up in Lost River to the south here. This project comes in at a perfect time for us, particularly for North Nampa. And we'll be finishing Meadowcrest over the next year to 14 months as well. So we look forward to continuing our presence in Nampa and working with the city on this. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
I don't have a question, but I'd like to thank you for the variety of the lot sizes. I think that's very important, and the amenities too. That's above and beyond what some other people do. So it's nice to have somebody just do it.
Thank you. Yeah, even though it's not a requirement, I mean, 195 lots, there's going to be a lot of kids, and we want it to be a nice community.
And you want to sell your homes. That's what you got to do.
We may have questions for you after we go through public hearing.
I had one question, Peggy.
Okay, Matt?
Where the lot that's there that you were talking about that you negotiated with them to fence around, where's their primary access to their lot? Does it come through the subdivision?
Yeah, so currently they've got an access easement and a drive that comes through here across the old culvert on the 10 mile. It comes down around this side here and all the way over in here. So as part of our negotiations, it really wasn't much of a negotiation, it was just a coordination. But with phase 1, we would be vacating this. During construction, we would provide their access here so we can build the road. With phase 2, we'd be doing this bridge crossing. So, again, this is phase 1 here. So there'd be very little impact to them as long as we can get them to the existing bridge, which we will. And then through phase 1, they would continue to access the same way they always have. Once we develop phase 2, we would build this Stubb Street here. And we would also be doing the 10-mile crossing that connects with Lost River at that point, because we'd be over our 30 lots and would need a secondary access with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Christy.
Well, after that lovely presentation, I just don't have a lot to say. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Christy Watkins, planner with the City of Nampa. The action requested from you tonight is a recommendation of approval to City Council for the modification of development agreement and rezone for this property to RS7. The project is located on the east side of Canada and north of Cherry Lane. And then for your approval of the preliminary plat for Lacadio Village subdivision development on this same property. The property is currently zoned RS 8.5 and is surrounded by city residentially zoned properties with a couple of county properties on the north and the east. The applicant is requesting RS7, and there are RS7 zoned properties to the east and the west of this property, as he acknowledged. In December of 2005, this property was annexed and zoned to RS 8.5 with a development agreement attached to ordinance number 3522 that included all of the 113.8 acres that was originally to be considered the Lost River subdivision. In December of 2018, Ordinance 4354 removed or modified out of Ordinance 3522 the 43.36 acre area to the south that is now the Lost River subdivision. So this request is only referencing the northern 62.34 acres. As I noted a couple times in your packet, I included all of that information just for your reference only. So to modify the development agreement, the applicant will be required to provide new legal descriptions for the portion that is being modified. We would like for them to remove or revise the previously listed architectural standards. Due to fair housing laws, we can't actually require minimum house sizes. And then they will also need to replace the approved concept plan with the preliminary plat for this Leucadia Village. So the comparison of the plat layouts, just for your information, the old concept proposed 166 lots, and the new concept proposes 195 lots. This includes a variety of size lots from 12,000 square feet to infill lots of 5,900 square feet. So the findings of fact for the rezone are that it is zoned RS 8.5 and they are requesting RS 7. One note that I did not make that he did bring up was that it does meet the medium density residential requirements as designated in the comp plan. The new calculations in the newly adopted comp plan are 2.5 to 8 units per acre, and this is 3.13 dwelling units per acre, so it fits perfectly. The property appears to be clear of structures and is open, flat ground. All immediately surrounding uses are single-family residential. The request is reasonable and the property is eligible for rezone at this time. It is within the public interest to rezone to RS7 and it matches the comprehensive plan. Engineering has required, reviewed, and approved a traffic impact study. It requires a northbound right and southbound left turn lane at the project approach on Canada Road. Emergency services and utilities are available to the property. So as discussed, the preliminary plat proposes 62.34 acres, is going to be developed into 222 total lots. This is 197 buildable and 27 common. So the analysis of that, so it meets all of the minimum lot area as he described. They took the 20% out. There are infill lots that are 5,900 square feet and up. So the average lot size is 8,300 square feet. All of that meets code. Lot compatibility in this case does not apply. However, they were gracious enough to do 10,500 square foot lots around that out parcel in the middle. So they gave them a little bit larger lots on their boundary, which was lovely. They meet the lot width and depth, so that it's compliant in that regard. The landscape plan was reviewed and approved by Adam Mancini in the Forestry Department. And then, of course, he did talk a little bit about the pathway. There's some interesting ways that they're negotiating with engineering to construct that pathway because of the challenges that they face with the Phyllis Canal and trying to get across that. So they've incorporated the 10-foot pathway into a sidewalk out to Canada and around. So it's all connected. It just is via sidewalk in certain locations. So should the commission choose to recommend approval of the development agreement modification and rezone to City Council and approve the preliminary plat, staff recommends that they address the following conditions. That's the fire department comments, engineering comments, standard building comments, and any others that you see fit to impose tonight. I will stand for any questions.
Christy, I have a question. It's probably more of a generalized question, but it comes up every time I see these subdivisions going in. And I haven't seen any comment from other agencies about this, except maybe through Compass, and that's far and few between. What about bus stops? With the growth that Nampa is experiencing, and especially in areas like North Nampa that are on bus lines or quasi-bus lines, is there any discussion about putting in bus stops and neighborhood developments being required, like they put in sidewalks and things like that, or easements for bus stops?
So Commissioner Kirkman, that It's not something that the bus company ever responds to us on, or that the.
But the
school
communication
district-
goes out to
It
them
goes
though?
out to the school district. It does not go out to the bus company. So
Uh-oh.
if that's somebody that you would like us to add to our distribution list, maybe we should do that. I don't know if they get information from the school district or not.
Christie, I just called them about another issue, same thing. So if I may address what you.
Well, I'm not talking about school bus stops.
Yeah, you're
I'm
talking
talking
city
about
bus.
city
Valley Ride.
bus
City
and
bus
Valley, yeah,
I
Valley
talked to
Ride.
Valley Ride, and they said they have bus service on demand. So if you want to get a bus, they will give you the location of the nearest bus stop to you. So, and they are willing to add new bus stops, but they don't have routes or routes anymore like they used to.
Yeah,
Well, and-
so our routes are very limited. for
Right.
Valley Ride.
No, and I understand, but I'm thinking with the explosive growth that Nampa's experiencing right now, I mean, we're number 10 in the country as far as growth. I wonder if that might be something that we look at, maybe at least extending
Right.
that communication and getting some feedback from them.
Right
Maybe
to
that would
your
help.
state representatives and see about public transit.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's a conversation for people that,
So bottom line is we're not communicate, I mean, they go out sometimes to Valley Ride, but we don't get any response from them. Okay. That's what I need. Thanks.
And as part of annexation and a development agreement or something like that, you could require that to be done as part of the development, but
There's no guarantee that Valley Ride would utilize that.
exactly.
Absolutely. And it might just be a bench, and if it's not used as a bus stop, it's used as somebody who's walking down the sidewalk and has a, well, we're not going to start with you tonight, so.
Okay, is there anybody there for public hearing on this item, Rodney?
I'm sorry, let me look at that.
we got to break him back in.
Yeah, this is all new to me again.
Nobody in the audience wants to speak to this application? No.
We've got nobody here that responded.
Okay, so,
I'm going to bring it up in case there's, I didn't see anybody online though either, but let me just bring this up real quick.
did anybody have any questions for the applicant now that we've heard from Christie?
So we just have the applicant, as you can see.
Okay,
Madam Chair, this is Steve. Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
Somebody said second, but I don't know who.
me,
Matt, okay. Motion by Steve, second by Matt to close the public hearing. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is now closed. Looks like there's three
You want
things
these?
we need to do. Do we need to do them individually, Rodney, or can we do one, or how do you want it done?
Recommendations together.
2 recommendations and then the action as a separate one. Do the 2 recommendations together and then the action as a separate item.
Okay, it says approvals.
I want to bring that screen back up.
Okay. So 1 and 2 can go together, but 3 is separate.
Sorry, I can't see the screen, so I can't respond to
Okay.
it.
Well, on the staff report, there's 3 items listed, the modification of the annexation, and then we have the zoning map amendment, and then the preliminary plat approval.
There you go.
Yeah, those three.
Madam Chair, this is Steve.
Mhm.
I'd like to make the motion to modify the annexation and zoning development agreement between Far West LLC and Ed Schubert in the city of Nampa, recorded 1/5/2006. Amending Exhibit B, conceptual plan for layout subdivision, northern portion, approximately 62.34 acres of the Lost River subdivision to a new layout for the proposed Laquito,
ADO.
whatever, sorry, village subdivision.
Do we have a second?
And with all the conditions that are any of city staff.
But I think we're doing 1 and 2 together, right?
Okay. And also, number 2, a zoning map amendment for RS 8.5 minimum lot size to a RS 7 single-family residence on 7,000 lot size.
Do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second. This is Adam.
I heard 3 seconds.
Okay, well, Adam said his name, so he gets credit. So motion by Steve, a second by Adam. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Fred,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay, those are being recommended for approval. Somebody want to tackle number 3?
Madam Chair, this is Steve again. Make the motion to approve subdivision preliminary plat approval for the village proposing 195 single-family lots, detached lots, and 27 common lots on 62.34 acres for a combination of 3.13 dwelling units per gross acre.
Second it, Michelle.
Michelle got it in there. Woohoo! Okay, motion by Steve, second by Michelle to approve the preliminary plat. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay, on to public hearing number 2.
Thank you.
Do we have the applicant there?
Yeah, they're on the way up.
Thank you.
Okay.
You ready?
Go for it.
All right. My name is Blake Wolf. I live at 843 West Horizon Way here in Nampa. What I'm bringing tonight is preliminary plat approval to the commission here. This is for a half of the project of Roosevelt Village, which it consists of, this phase is 11 duplex lots. Phase 2 is another 11. We went through this project in July because I had there was a previous development agreement and we had to modify it. Nothing has changed since then other than we're at this stage of the game where a preliminary plat needs to be approved. Right now, the project is scheduled to be paved and finished mid to late November. And we've already started some buildings and we're well on our way to being done early next year, hopefully. And yeah, I guess I'm just here for some questions if you have any.
I have a question for you. I live right around the corner from it, and the road's blocked off, and I have to go all the way around. How long is that road going to be blocked, Roosevelt?
26th of October.
That's not always the case, though.
Maybe by the end of the week. This week it might be open.
Oh, I'll love you forever.
Yeah. It's a very deep sewer line,
I saw that.
very wet too.
Oh, I didn't see that. Why is it wet?
It's groundwater.
Oh,
We're at the same level as the ditch there to the north. So it's basically
Oh, I see.
flowing like a river through there.
yeah, it runs behind my house, so I know what you're talking about now. Okay.
Did you find the cars?
No, I haven't forgot to look. Forgot we talked about that.
The canal?
What's that?
In the canal you're talking about?
Yeah,
They're
there's,
buried in the bank.
Yeah,
Right.
I've seen them there a couple of years back, but I haven't been down that way lately.
Yeah.
But they were there at one point.
I'm sure they're still
Last
there.
time I walked down
Well, they
there.
wouldn't be, but
Okay. Thank you. We'll ask you questions if we have any after we hear from staff.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Christy Watkins, planner with the City of Nampa. The action requested from you this evening is approval of the preliminary plat for Roosevelt Village subdivision located at 1910 West Roosevelt Avenue. Property is zoned RP and is surrounded by RS6 zoned properties developed as single-family subdivisions on the north, east, and west, and Roosevelt Elementary School on the south. In September of 2008, an annexation and zoning to RP with Ordinance 3816 with the development agreement for a business park was approved. In October of 2009, a development agreement modification for Ordinance 3884 to change the use from a business park to a senior living development was approved. In July 6th of 2020, a development agreement modification, Ordinance number 4531, was approved to change it from the senior living development to this residential duplex subdivision. This is phase 1, as he mentioned, and phase 2 will come before you at a later date. The preliminary plat for Roosevelt Village subdivision proposes 11 duplex lots for a total of 22 dwelling units on 2.99 acres for 7.36 units per gross acre. For the plat analysis, all master building lots are to meet or exceed 6,000 square feet. The smallest master lot in this subdivision is 6,000 square feet, therefore it meets that code. The minimum lot width in an RP zone is 50 feet. The smallest shown on this preliminary plat is 51.95 feet, but is considered compliant in that regard. The landscape plan was reviewed and approved by Adam Mancini in the Forestry Department, so it complies with that as well. So the comments that were received from the building department with their standard codes to meet the Title IV requirements, from the fire department regarding fire hydrant placement and a turnaround on Jane Drive, and then engineering standard comments and conditions, including revising some street names and complying with the comments that were made on the building permits. So the action requested again is the approval of the preliminary plat for Roosevelt Village subdivision located at 1910 West Roosevelt Avenue. Should the commission choose to approve this application, staff would recommend the approval with conditions as listed in the staff report and any others you see fit to impose. I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions for Christy? Okay, thank you, Christy. Rodney, do we have people to testify on this item?
Just the applicant.
And nobody present there is there to talk. Okay.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
second, Steve.
Okay. Motion by Matt, second by Steve to close public hearing. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Steve. Make a motion, we approve the preliminary plat subdivision, preliminary plat subdivision for Roosevelt Village. May propose 11 lot duplex subdivision with 22 units upon the land reference below, a 2.9 acre portion of a 6.2 acre portion of land at 1910 Roosevelt Avenue, with all the conditions of staff.
This is Brett. I'll second.
Okay, motion by Steve, second by Brett to approve the preliminary subdivision plat. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay. All right, that has been approved.
Thank you.
What was the date you said next week you're gonna have that road open again?
You should have had that as a condition, Steve.
Yeah.
Everybody change my motion.
Okay, public hearing number 3. Do we have applicant in the house?
Yes, you do.
Yes, she's here.
Awesome.
I didn't come with everything to
Ma'am.
present.
Ma'am,
Come up here, please.
Come up and give us your name and address for the record and tell us what you want to do.
Thank you very much. My name is Leah Worcester, and I live at 324 13th Avenue North. And I am requesting permission to run a small internet business in a small shed that's in the back of my property. And essentially, I do glass art, fused glass pieces, windows. It's not very big. And I've been doing it as a hobby for 30 years, but I would like to be able to sell it online. That's it.
Okay, anybody have any questions for her while she's there? All right, we'll hear from staff, and if we have some questions, we'll call you back up.
Okay.
Okay, Madam Chair, Commissioners Doug Critchfield, planner with City of Nampa. This is for a conditional use permit for an in-home occupation stained glass business. This is in a RD, it's a duplex residential zoning district at 324 13th Avenue North. The comprehensive plan in this area is medium density residential. As was mentioned, it's RD, two-family duplex residential, surrounded by RD on all sides. The site characteristics, it's a small lot. It's 0.09 acres, 3,920 square feet. All the utilities and public services are available to the site. The environment, the studio shed is located behind a residence. This is in a residential neighborhood. There'll be no large or frequent deliveries, no employees, and no retail traffic associated with the business. And sales will occur on the internet with operational hours within the shed, as stated by the applicant, Monday through Friday, roughly from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's parking on the site for the residents. The property does have frontage on 13th Avenue North. An electrical permit was issued to install a 50 amp, 240 volt circuit in the shed. As a requirement of that, a 5-foot setback was required. So the applicant came back and received a variance, which was obtained in March. Instead of the 5 feet required by Nampa City Code. We took this to the building official in the city, and he indicated that since there was no public going to be coming and going from this the shed, that he did not have an issue with the 18 inches distance from the rear property line. This is a photograph of the site looking from the corner of 4th Street North and 13th Avenue North. And this is the shed located behind the structure, behind the residence. This is provided by the applicant. This is a view of the shed studio, both of the exterior and the interior.
Very nice.
These are the applicable regulations. These have to do both with setting criteria for approval for a CUP, in that it has to be compatible with the neighborhood. And then Title 10, Chapter 1 sets criteria about conducting a home occupation business, and that it outlines the qualification required to establish that the operator lives and works out of the same residence, both of which this CUP meets those requirements. The Nampa Building Department had a correspondence with us. This is their standard language about any work that's done on the shed has to meet the requirements of Title IV. The other agencies that responded had no comment on the project. The staff analysis and findings are found in your staff report. Particularly, I'd like to point out number 3, in that this operation will occur during the daytime, and it does involve the manufacture of stained glass utilizing 2 small kilns and 3 grinders that are housed within the studio. It'll involve internet sales only, and that there will be no public access to the premises other than pickup and delivery by courier, which will be infrequent. The business will be operated indoors. The suggested condition approval are stated in your staff report, and any other conditions recommended by the commission following the public hearing, and I'll stand for any questions.
Doug, I have a couple of questions. On page 243, in a letter from Patrick Sullivan, he says, since there is no public coming into the space, let's pass on a permit. If this changes and it becomes a public space, it will trigger a permit with more stringent requirements. And on the same page, from a letter from, actually another one from Patrick Sullivan, she will not have public in her studio. And on page 216, it says the shed studio will not be open to the public. And on page 227, it says open hours will be 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So is it open or is it not open to the public?
No, it will not be open to the public. And the operational hours will be the time that she's in that studio doing her manufacturing, doing the stained glass work, but it will not be open to the public. And it's just looking in here that it states here in condition of approval number 2, it says there'll be no employees, and the applicant has stated that no sales will occur, that sales will occur online and will not be open to the public. So that's one of the conditions in the conditions of approval.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have one question. Michelle.
Yes.
How is the business advertised?
That would, I'm Madam Chair, Commission, that would be a question for the applicant. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll call her back up in a minute when we get there. Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay, let's go on to public hearing. Do we have anybody there to talk on this item?
He's checking.
Nobody in the audience except for the applicant.
Yep, just the
Okay.
applicant listed.
Answer was no.
Okay, so can the applicant come back up and we'll ask her that question? Or Michelle, you can ask her when she gets back up there.
Yes. The question was, what was it?
Advertising? How is it
Yes.
advertised?
Oh, yes, I was thinking of. I've built a GoDaddy website and I haven't activated it yet. But from GoDaddy, I can also advertise on Etsy and some of the other internet small items that are sold.
Well, it's all going to be done online.
It is.
Yeah.
Although I keep forcing my friends to take them for free.
Well, you do beautiful work. I'm looking at these pictures. That is awesome.
Well, that's what I do because I love it. I just, as I said, my friends have had enough. So now I'm going out to the public.
Okay. All right, thank you. Are there any other questions from the
Madam Chair, I
applicant?
do have a question. What about a fire extinguisher? Do you have a fire extinguisher in the studio?
No, I don't, but I will.
Okay, yeah, I think,
I
that-
was thinking of that.
yeah, and that's what I
myself.
was thinking, with the fact that it's going down to 18 inches, just for
It's
protection.
not a problem at all.
So I was just going to recommend that might be one condition of approval that we might add to it, is just to make sure that there is a fire extinguisher
For
on
my
site.
safety.
Yep.
Yes,
Right, thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to close public hearing.
This is Steve, so moved.
Second, Matt?
Okay. All those in favor of closing public hearing, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed.
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we grant the conditional use permit for an in-home occupation stained glass business in an RD zone at 324 13th Avenue North for Leah Worcester with all conditions,
Including the fire extinguisher.
including the fire extinguisher. Thanks, Steve.
I'll second that. This is Adam.
Okay, motion by Brett, second by Adam to approve the CUP. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. Okay,
Yeah.
Public hearing number 4.
Were you talking to us?
You have to
Oh,
say.
okay. I just wanted to make sure.
All right, Madam Chair, I am the applicant as well as the staff assigned to this one.
Did you pay all the fees?
Yes.
All right.
And this, again, just as Rodney Ashby for the record, Director of Planning and Zoning. So this was the amendment of title. You've seen this one before, Title 10, Chapter 34, Design Review, and with all the different sections that we change or that we're recommending changes for. Just a quick history, August 2020, Nampa City Council directed staff to propose changes to code to require all multifamily dwellings to go through design review. And on September 22nd, it came before this commission. Planning and Zoning Commission considered amendments, but expressed concerns that the new requirements may make it impossible or difficult for affordable housing projects to afford development. You closed the public testimony after no testimony was given at the meeting, and you continued the hearing to October 13th meeting. So there is no need to open up the public testimony again unless you wish to do so. And then you directed staff to consult with an attorney, our attorney, to determine if more lenient requirements for affordable housing developments or organizations would require new notice. So staff findings, I went and asked those questions. Nampa's legal counsel confirmed the application should go before the city council as it was advertised, but that the commission could recommend changes, and then those would be considered at the city council meeting, as long as they are less restrictive and not more restrictive. So if we were to add on new additional requirements that were significant, then that would be a concern. But if they were to draw back any requirements for a certain group or type of development, that would be allowed to move
But
forward.
isn't that what we asked for?
You asked me to check to make sure.
Okay. Okay.
So,
That was why we asked you to
Yes,
check those,
correct.
because we were
Okay.
looking at pulling
Yeah.
some of those.
so the answer is yes, you can move forward. At the September 22nd meeting, staff highlighted wording in the comprehensive plan, which may have been perceived as proposed amendments to the Nampa City Code. And I just wanted to make sure that we're clear about the difference between the comprehensive plan and the zoning code requirements. If we're going to enforce any of those requirements that are in the comprehensive plan, they have to be codified. They have to be put into city code. So again, I just wanted to highlight this section right here. We talked about it in the last meeting, and there was a lot of discussion about all these conditions, but those were from the comprehensive plan, not from the code. So I thought what we could do here is just highlight again the specifics of those parts of the code changes that are being recommended that may have an impact on cost. So the first one is facade change elements would be required for any wall seen from the right of way, and in total are visible over at least 50% of the exterior wall area. I included the code right there, the proposed code. So the underlined section there would be the change that we add, and the crossed out section is of course the area that, or the part of the code that we would be removing. So number 2, design review committee's desire to keep the requirement for 25% glazing on the primary facades. The proposed code would remove this requirement for multifamily housing, but the design review committee would like that authority to still remain with them so that they can waive that on a case-by-case basis. And there's the code before you again, just that addition. This is what we advertised as providing an exception for multifamily structures. And they've requested that we not put that in there. Number 3, a requirement to fence outdoor storage, public storage in areas not landscaped. Fencing to include at least 2 materials, colors, or textures. There was quite a bit of discussion about this. Again, the fencing part is not limited to multifamily. It's to all design review projects. And the requirement would be for multiple textures or materials, as we talked about. And as you can see, we've added quite a bit on that, just providing some examples. But that potentially could have an impact on the cost of a multifamily development. And then the last one was landscaping required through design review to screen trash enclosures, mechanical units, mitigate long walls, mitigate tall blank multifamily walls or stairwells, or along gateways into the city. So the design review committee was concerned about these places where we have multifamily, where the one side of the building is a stairwell and we've got no design elements on that side. And so they were concerned about that. There's not a whole lot you can do architecturally, but they considered landscaping would be a good approach to that, putting in additional landscaping to break up that blank wall. So the commission may recommend any changes to the proposed code amendments specific to affordable housing developments, as we've discussed. I will note, though, I just wanted to make this clear, and I put this in my staff report. Staff notes the difficulty to manage exceptions meant only for affordable housing. If a development were to be sold for market rate housing after being developed for affordable housing. So essentially, my concern is if we make specific exceptions for affordable housing, it gets developed, and then they turn around and sell it for market rate housing, then those exceptions were put into place in development, but then they now, at just a regular market rate housing, could have the benefit of the lower cost of that development. So there's not a lot we can do to track that. If there's a occupancy permit, we could look at it at that point, but I just wanted you to be aware of that. That is a concern for me, and I would just respectfully recommend that if there's cost savings that could be made that are reasonable for design review, that it just be applied to all multifamily. So that's just my recommendation. Again, you're welcome to make any decision you would like to recommend on to City Council. This is the applicable regulations. We've seen this before. We basically have to find that it would be reasonably necessary and in the interest of the public and in harmony with the goals and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan. These code changes. Here are the recommended findings. They're in your staff report. I could go through all the slides, but we've gone through this before, so I'm not going to unless you tell me to. And I placed a recommended motion on the screen. I'd just like to highlight that number 1 has one of the conditions that is a potential for you to consider. Remove the exception allowing multifamily buildings to not provide 25% glazing on primary facades. Basically what this is saying is you give the authority back to the design review to decide when that glazing requirement needs to be put in place or not, whether it needs to be waived. And then any other conditions or changes the commission chooses to recommend. And I would stand for questions.
Rodney, I don't know how, I'm not versed very well in the tax credit thing, but I used to work for a company that built these low-income housing projects all over the country. And as I understand it, they would get the tax credits to build low-income housing. And as part of that, they would not be able to charge market rate on those housing for a period of, I think, 10 years before they could go to market rate. And that's why they hired me, because they wanted these projects to last that long so that they could eventually go to market rate and then, make their money back. And so I don't know how that plays. And I think it goes back to me saying, if a developer came in and they had documentation that they had received the tax credits and that the tax credits did limit what they could do with this project for a period of 10 years, then maybe that does speak somewhat to your concern about that. But I don't know how, I understand what you're saying about the difficulty of trying to regulate that. I don't know, but. And I think that the low income housing, I think, is the only area of this that bothers me. Because like I said before, I don't have a problem with making beautiful buildings. I think that's awesome, and I think that we want to do that. But I just do think that there is that concern because we talk so much about the low income housing, so.
And I think your concern was tracking when it moves from that low income housing is sold and now it's at market rate. Is there, I'm just throwing this out there, like a CUP stays with the property. The CUP doesn't transfer to another person coming in, like this lady wanted to sell her home that she had her Glassworks business in. That CUP doesn't stay there with the building. It's gone if she moves out. Is there any way to maybe utilize something like that when that low-income housing building is sold, everything is off the table now? And that way, maybe you're not chasing that around and it just automatically expires. That could be in the.
I think the challenge with that is they already got away with the benefit of it, right? But I like what you're saying. Like, is there a way that you can, require a conditional use permit that it is low income housing for a period of 10 years? If they want the break on the design review thing, then they have to commit to a conditional use that is going to be low income housing project and is subject to all those, for a period of X years. I don't know if we have the ability to do that, but I think that would be one way.
There's an automatic stop gap or something in there when it's sold. But I think we're going back to that. What's the incentive of somebody to come in here to build affordable housing when now they have to put these extra and not necessarily extra, but different design elements that may increase the cost of so incentivizing them to come in and build that, saying you're going to have this waiver, so to speak, of these design elements, but once you sell it, whoever buys the home may be required to put in some additional landscaping or.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But is it a better idea to add verbiage or language to the code that gives the design review body the ability to make waivers or to make exceptions? Gives them power to give the breaks because they're the ones that are seeing it.
So the design review committee does have the authority to waive. Is it any condition in chapter 34? So that happens pretty frequently in the case of a multifamily development being required to do glazing, 25% glazing. That happens all the time.
Right.
So they do have that authority. If they look at that and the applicant comes in and says, hey, this is affordable housing, they could do that right now. So let me speak, Madam Chair and Commissioner, let me speak to a couple of things. First of all, we've had limited number of actual affordable housing developments come into the city. And the one that I can think of just recently was the one on Garrity. We had quite a few requirements. They came in for a variance for parking, went to City Council for a parking variance. City Council, they said, we can't make this work with our current layout. City Council denied that variance. And then they went back to the drawing board and drew up changes that would allow them to fit all of the dwelling units that they originally proposed and the parking. So I think of, in that situation, I know it's not true of all situations, but I was surprised how well they were able to meet our conditions. And it was a good product. It looked nice. Good architectural conditions. Yeah, it met all the design requirements because it was in a BC zone. So they did have to meet the design requirements already. This extends that requirement out to other areas. And so I don't know. I don't have all the answers here, but I do look at that and I say, well, it seems like that affordable housing development, it's an actual affordable housing. They're getting the tax credits and everything. They were able to make it work under this.
I know, and I think the last time we met and we talked about this, I did say that, I'm kind of conflicted as well because necessity is the mother of invention, right? And so they were in the case that you were just referred to, they were denied. They had to figure it out if they wanted the project to go. And so I think that in many cases that is going to do it, but I just worry about discouraging because maybe there's somebody that just doesn't have enough fortitude to want to do it. They just scratch the project. So
Sure.
That was all. But I do agree, that it can happen.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
There is. Yeah, there's always a variance option. However, they have to show hardship of some kind and maybe affordable housing. I don't know.
Simply by definition could be the hardship,
It could be. That
cost restraints, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, technically, a hardship is supposed to be related to the parcel, and that the parcel basically prevents them from doing things that others in that same zone would be able to do. So I don't know, but they've used that variance. City Council has used that variance pretty broadly, and we've seen all kinds of reasons for requesting that variance and it being granted. So that's a possibility.
I agree with what Matt says. I mean, if they're getting a deal because they're building affordable housing and then 2 years later they say, yeah, let's make it, they got the benefit of their deal, but now they're multiplying it because they're selling it for standard housing instead of low income housing.
Right.
So-
And I forgot the other thing I wanted to mention was even if you put a time limit on that of 10 years or something, at the end of that 10 years, they turn it over to market rate development or a management company. And at that point, then it doesn't comply with the code again, right? It doesn't, the appearance of that building isn't what was intended for design review. So I'm not saying that can't be done. It's just something we need to consider.
But that's the sticking point is when it does sell to a market rate management company, just because they're selling the building, is that going to trigger for them to come back to design review? And I don't think the city can step in at that point either and say, you have to do it. If you want to sell your building, you have to do this and this and this and this. And legally, I don't think the city can come in and do it at that point.
Potentially we could legally, but logistically, I just,
Yeah, how many of those sales go on? And you're going to be chasing. You're going to be
No, but I
chasing.
think that's the part of what the idea is you're making trade-offs to get the affordable housing that we need. right? And you're saying that, yeah, eventually this is going to go market rate and it's going to bypass the design review. But at least for these 10 years, we've got, X number of units that people are able to live in for affordability. So
Yeah.
that I think is what you're doing there, is you're doing the trade-off. But that's not to say that it's the right thing to do. I don't.
And I completely understand that perspective. Absolutely.
So we have a stalemate or what?
No, although it may be difficult, there is still an option for them to address the issue through a hardship exception or a waiver. They can ask. If they don't get it, they don't get it. But there's still that option. And at that point, maybe they just, plead their best case. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think looking down the road and looking this in a little different perspective, I would love to have more incentives for developers to come in and build affordable housing. But
And then maybe I can buy a new house.
affordable, what does that mean now in terms nowadays? But
Yeah.
but I think down the road is where it gets muddy.
And we don't want to confuse affordable with cheap housing.
So it's not perfect either way.
No, and I think that really it is. I mean, if I were to decide which way I was going to go, I would probably lean on, to just go with it and allow the design review committee to do what they do and allow these developers to get creative on how they want to satisfy these requirements.
And I was just thinking, so often we say, let the market dictate.
Mhm.
And that applies to affordable housing too. And if the market says, we need you, market being us, the cities, we need you to have these design elements, then you go back to the drawing board and make it work if you really want that project to go through. A little tougher road, but I think it's certainly doable.
Just a little, our design review codes for the city are minimal
Mhm.
compared to other cities. I mean, we really
Yeah.
don't require a lot to happen. So I don't feel like we're being too cumbersome or too onus on those
Okay.
properties. I mean, we could be a lot more strict with our design review codes.
Mhm.
Well, we could use that too then when they come to us. We say, hey, we could have been a lot more strict.
Right?
Why don't you try put this out in Eagle?
Yeah. Go downtown Boise and see what they say. No, that's a good point though. That is a good point.
But I think that's why we get so many people that want to develop here, because we are a developer friendly, community. So we don't want to lose that.
All right.
So what do you guys want to do?
Anyone else with comments?
Nope.
Then, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we recommend to City Council approval of the amendment of Title 10, Chapter 34, Design Review, Sections 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, as proposed in the staff report with the following changes. I think it's good to have that, removing that exception, allowing multifamily buildings to not provide 25% as recommended by the Design Review Committee, and any conditions of staff that might be in there.
I'll second that, Brett.
Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Brett. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay. That is our final item for tonight, and that went way faster than I thought. Steve made 1,000 motions tonight.
Thank you, Steve.
He was
Good
itching to
job,
get to that
Michelle.
new taco time.
It made it go so much smoother for somebody to talk. So I appreciate that.
And that's the problem is we all sit here sometimes and wait for somebody else to start making a motion. We ought to have a record of who makes motions and who doesn't. And then those who make the most motions ought to get a pay raise.
There you go.
Always comes down to money with you, doesn't it?
You don't make any, you lose your stipend.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rodney, we're glad that you're back and alive. That probably was not fun.
Yeah.
Glad you're alive.
We're sick, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm glad to be alive too.
So where did you get it? Do you know?
Yeah,